So I'm working on a project, a deal, and we're trying to. We don't have existing customers or clients, but we're looking to grow from scratch a biotech manufacturing business and build our book of business from zero. How would you guys go about
Okay.
starting with that process?
All right. So you're starting a biotech manufacturing company. So they're just out of curiosity, what are they manufacturing?
Yeah, so they can manufacture anything from stuff like insulin to like GLP-1s, those fat loss drugs.
Okay.
Really anything like that.
All right. So if we help you out, can we get some of that fat loss drug shipped to our office immediately?
Send me your address afterwards.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, there's a lot of benefit to this business. Okay. So you're does the how soon can you be up and going?
Uh, so so we're it needs money to upgrade some computer systems. And
Okay.
so in order to get access to some of the money, there's also needing to demonstrate that you've got a book of business, even if the
Okay.
facility isn't operational.
Okay. So let's say you had a bunch of money today. How long would it take? Like if
Six
if you
months.
called me and said, uh, or if we you called me and go, yeah, yeah, send me a truckload of that fat loss drug.
Yeah.
How far out? And if I don't know how much money you need and how much money you can get from me for a sale, and how long I as a buyer would be willing to wait.
Mhm.
Do you have
Yeah,
a feel for
so
that?
so it would take about 6 months to get the facility operational. Right now, for other contract manufacturers, is what this company is. The wait time is 18 months to 24 months. Just
So
as
if I go to somebody who's already manufacturing, it's over a year out.
Yeah,
So okay, so are you really certain that if you, and I guess it depends how much I'm ordering, right? To even, my order might not be enough and you never make this happen. And then, and
well,
then go ahead.
yeah. The interesting thing about is that um, we can manufacture four drugs simultaneously, and each one we can manufacture enough for people to do even small commercial level, but mostly our customer base is people going through clinical trials. So people starting and then scaling up through clinical trials, which just is it's a smaller quantity as opposed to like that you're selling on the open market.
Yeah. Okay. Well, still though, so that tells me it's a small order up front. You're not going to get much money. You're not going to get any money until it's delivered, right?
So we do it would be a 10 30 10% up front, 30%, and then 10% at the very end. So it's kind
Are
of
you going to tell these people that you're not operational, or are
oh
you
yeah.
just going to, what's the story? Do you say, "Hey, we're not yet operational," because that's a different story, right? You go,
Yeah.
"Hey, we can manufacture these drugs." So when you go to when companies who are ordering drugs to be made, uh, uh, do they know? Do they care? I'm sure they do because they have to. Do they care? Do they even have to know that it's not operational?
Um
Are you ready to get really sued when this doesn't pan out?
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
When
I
they
mean,
they
seriously.
bank on all right, these guys will be producing in 6 months, and then it never gets off the ground, and they got to
Yeah.
go start square one again.
Yeah.
That's
And they're
not going to
two
be
years out
in
from
there 2 years
somebody
out.
else.
That's
hmm
not going to be a good. But you need the contracts, you need the commitments from customers, so you can go out and secure financing to get this off the ground.
At least show progress in that direction, right? Yeah.
So, well, progress, you're saying yes. Because what does progress mean? Does it mean getting sales because,
At at the
oh,
very
hey, I've,
the
I've got a lot of contacts, but, a lot of salespeople have a lot of contacts and no sales.
right. So at least people saying, signing. So the process is generally they sign a letter of intent, and then you
Okay.
move on to talking, getting the scientists together to figure out how to translate like the knowledge of how to actually do or build their molecule that they're messing with.
Uh,
And then
okay.
and then it moves on to like signing the contract.
Okay. So let's okay. Uh, so really, that's what you need. You
Mhm.
need to get letters of intent.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So back to all right, letters of intent. And so when you go out and I can imagine I'm making those connections because in this scenario I'm selling to people who need their drug manufactured, right? Because it, most places don't make their own drugs. Is that case? Is that the
Right.
case? Or okay, so most places, interesting for the world to know. So these drugs are made at factories like this. So so does this factory, by the way, does it make anything at all? Is there anything that can be made out of this factory at all right now? No, it doesn't look like it.
Well, we can make it. It's just what the like FDA and those types of organizations
Oh,
wouldn't
that's
wouldn't
our.
like it. Yeah,
Oh.
we get in a lot of trouble with government.
Wait, Chuck and I could make it in the basement too. You know, it
Yeah,
just
right.
just ship the orders to us, and
Yeah, we got it.
we
We got it.
you know didn't you brew beer in your basement one time? It's the same thing, isn't it? We'll just pretend anyway. So really, okay. So you feel confident if you got enough sales, enough letters of intent that would be enough to get the funding to get the okay. I mean, you really feel strongly because if it doesn't pan out, if I were the one needing the drugs, I'd be really angry if you
Mhm.
misled me.
Oh yeah.
So you're okay with that?
Yeah, I mean it
Okay. Yes or no? Because if no, you should get out of this deal and go do something else.
yeah,
I mean,
no,
seriously.
if there's business in if there's letters of intent, money comes in.
Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead, Chuck.
Okay. So, okay. So are you in contact with potential clients currently? And how
Yes.
does that work?
Um, how does it work in terms of like how
So you're
we
in contact with them having conversations regarding this.
yeah, correct.
And what are they saying? Well, hey, until you're operational, we're not going to commit. And you're going, well, we can't get operational until we have a commitment letter from you. I mean, what's that look like if you're, I mean, you got to have some sort of
Yeah,
on
yeah,
them.
that's a good question. So it varies. Everybody really almost universally, everybody that we talk to does not like or has problems with their manufacturer. They do not like their manufacturer. They have issues. Um, they really complain a lot about how they are they kind of force you to use their systems, their different delivery systems, different tech, essentially. And so the approach that we've been taking with these early conversations is one of, look, we have some of the people who are quite literally the top three people on the planet at taking these types of drug products from an idea on the benchtop and figuring out how to actually produce them at scale in the
Oh,
quantities that you need. And so
Do,
we've been
do,
really
do these do
focusing.
these drug people know these people? Are there names that they definitely know?
right.
They've either heard of most if they're above 50, which most people who have like high quality drugs generally are, they've heard of or they've dealt with their companies. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so your claim to fame or your benefit or your what sets you above everyone else is that you have this team of scientists who understand how to manufacture, especially during clinical trials, because obviously if they're at full capacity, it may not be something that you guys can support. So you're an intermediate, you're during clinical trials, and then after that, they have to figure out something else.
That's a good question. So, it depends how big of manufacturing they need.
Yeah.
Um, if it's a smaller drug, which a lot of drugs are becoming smaller, a smaller quantity of produced drugs. So not like insulin, but more of like a small quantity of like like an like a cancer therapy or something like that. That's it. The number of doses that you need to manufacture is smaller. We can handle that type of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, we could
So
also,
that is that what you're going to target then? Are you targeting?
so we're targeting for the most part, or we're targeting drugs or um, uh, drugs that are heading into clinical stage development. So they're starting to go into clinical trials, and they're needing to go from uh, something that you can produce in like a little vial, and they need to figure out how to produce it in like in a jar about this much. And generally
Okay.
speaking, a jar about that much can serve like 1 million doses of
Okay.
different types of pharmaceutical. And so you don't
Is
you
that a
don't
lot?
what was that?
I mean, so that's not like, is that so you can in the future you can handle that capacity,
We
that
we
volume?
can we can s- we can hit most people's capacity. Yeah, and I'd say for most every company that enters our door, we can serve them for at least 5 years
Okay.
of
All right.
development.
So let's go back, back to Chuck was saying, asking, okay, so your big benefit here is that the problem that these drug the people that have the drug that need manufactured is they hate their manufacturing. So they need something more friendly, right?
Mhm.
They need something that matches what they're looking for better. So so uh so So I would think you'd go to these folks and go, all right, some are going to be open to it, I would think, depending on their time frame and how they like the person that they're talking to and how they imagine this, the confidence, right? What's the confidence it's actually going to work, as
Mhm.
opposed to the one that the devil that we know. So here's the devil we know, and you're telling us there's a different opportunity here. I
And that opportunity is based on people. It's not because you have no track record except
Mhm.
people and their
Right.
perceived value or understanding of this industry.
Mhm.
So that's it. It's not like
Right.
you go, look, we do this already for these other biochemical companies. Here's
Yep.
because we're not. So that's your benefit is these people. How
Mhm.
does that sale, and I don't mean to cut you off, John, but how does that sales? So are you talking to the companies that would be your client? Are you
Yeah.
selling them? Who's selling them? You're selling them?
I have some conversations with people that I know, that I already have relationships with. Um, there's we have one guy who's been having broader conversations with people that are closer to cold leads who are not familiar with myself or some of the other people on the team. And that
what does
the
that mean, broader
conversation,
conversations?
what
Yeah,
was
what
that?
does that mean?
Yeah. Um, so for me, it's been moving, going over what our capabilities are, what they need, and then making sure that we can actually fulfill what they need, and that we're more or less a good match, and understanding what exactly, do they, if if they need some level of customization, we're a far better fit than almost any other contract manufacturer that exists. Nobody else is
Okay.
going to be able to
But you
provide
can't do it yet, and that's still
Potentially.
right.
back to that.
Yeah.
So what are they saying to you,
Yeah.
and what are you asking them to do? What are you asking them to do, and
Yeah, so
what do you want?
yeah, so for one of them, we asked for basically an LOI, just
A
a
what?
very loose LOI, letter of intent that they can get out of. So
Okay.
they were in the middle of finishing up their capital raise, and so we said, well, look, you guys can't get started right now anyways. So how about let's sign an agreement? It makes you look better, it makes us look better, and
How does it
if
make them look better?
Right.
yeah, it makes them look better because they have a contract most of the time in the final in the stage of funding that they're looking for. Investors want to see that you have a relationship with a contract manufacturer.
Okay, so these other people you're contacting also are looking for money?
Some of them,
Okay, well okay.
But don't they already have someone who does this for them. They just don't like them, right?
not always, not always. Some of
Okay.
them do. Some of them do.
Well,
Some
some
of them
the
are,
ones that are looking for money have never done this before,
they,
or this company hasn't.
yeah,
Maybe they
the
haven't.
company or with that
All
specific
right, so you've got
drug.
two targets. You've got people who are doing it that hate with their provider.
Yeah.
You've got other people who maybe have a new drug and they just don't have the money to get it going. And so one of the things, and I've seen like with FDA approval processes too, that if you're going to get approved by the FDA, you have to have an approved um, manufacturing facility, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It's yes. So with when a drug gets approved, the drug is actually approved in the facility. So the drug and the facility are approved as one approval. And so if
Okay.
you actually want to move to a different facility, you need to,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
So you've got two different targets. One, you've got one that's in business and the other one isn't because they're trying to get
Yep,
in business.
correct.
Okay. And which one is easier? Which one is a lower hanging fruit, just out of curiosity?
The people who are in the middle or just finishing up their capital raise.
Okay. So the ones that aren't in business yet, that need
Right.
money, and this is something that would make them look good.
Yeah, it would make
And
them look good.
I would imagine though, if I were an investor, you know, is the investor going to look deep enough into this and to see where you're getting manufactured and realize that you're not in business yet? You know?
No, I mean, and I think in our situation, the facility exists. The facility has been used before. It's produced drugs for the Canadian government and other people. It's just not been used as uh, a a services manufacturer. They've been producing all of their
Okay.
own stuff.
And they're not producing now, but they have in the past.
Correct.
Okay. Well, you know, everybody in the world doesn't have to know that, right? That they aren't producing now. You can go, you know, here's a facility. They've done a lot of other things in the past. Here's what they've done. We're just getting into this new version where we're doing this more custom batches like you're looking for. Does that sound like a good story so far? You
Yeah.
know, if you're talking about the facility. Okay. And if you're targeting the people that makes them look better if they have this already locked up. And if it's this letter of intent that's not binding,
Mhm.
like you were talking about, at least it's something. And some of those are going to go through, and some of them aren't. You
Mhm.
know, and your people that are giving you funding are probably going to realize that. But they go, you know, they've got enough going on here. All right. So do you have any of these potential? So the person, whomever's selling, who's ever contacting the manufacturing company. Oh, by the way, how many of these are there out there? These not the big ones that are already existing, but the smaller ones that aren't yet that are also looking for funding. How many would you say?
Manufacturers or drugs?
Drugs, because
Drugs.
that's your client, right?
Yeah, because you're looking for two different types of clients, right?
Yep.
Or two different places to get letters. One is the big one that's already in business that hate their supplier, and
Yep.
the other one's the ones that are looking that would look good if they had a manufacturer ready to go. So that one, the
Yeah,
one that
there's for drugs in that need a contract manufacturer and do not already have one, there's probably a couple hundred, several
okay,
hundred.
several hundred. So several as in three or eight.
I'd say 300 to 500 that are within our capability set.
Okay,
Okay.
are you in contact with all of them? How does that
No.
work? Like, do you have to make some calls and get through some gatekeepers and
Mhm.
stand up to the decision maker? Is that how that works?
Yeah, correct.
So these scientists that have been heard of, so what kind of list are they coming to the table with? I mean, if there's this world-renowned scientific person
Mhm.
who people know, then who do they know?
Yeah,
Great question.
yeah. So one signed contract that's a loose LOI contract that has been done came in through their network. And that one is a decent sized contract. They're two-thirds of the way through their capital raise. So as soon as we're operational, they
That's
can
not
go.
enough. We just got one, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I would
He's
imagine.
asking for Chuck's asking for how many people do these people know? And
Yeah,
will they give you their list so you can work them, but they're
yes.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to work their list. And then all they have to do is make a soft introduction
Yeah.
with you and these people that they know. Hey, listen to Ian, listen to what he's got to say. We're starting this. And then you can get in and start formulating your sales process, like who are you using now? What don't you like about them? If I could, would you? If I could show you, because we're developing
Mm-hmm.
uh our manufacturing facility to do these things, do you think that's a better fit for what you guys are trying to do within your organization? Oh man, yeah, you get it. Because I mean, you have these people that are, uh, you said earlier, we're world renowned, or you didn't say world renowned. You
Yeah.
said these people, everybody knows them or knows of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the first place I would start would be their list.
Yeah.
I would pin them down and go, because are do they benefit by this facility getting up and running?
Yes.
Probably in a pretty decent way, right?
Substantially. Yeah.
Substantial way. Okay, well then you can't just go, hey, here, look, pat you on the back and see you later. Good luck, Ian.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, all right, I got to go here first. Who do we know? And this facility that was manufacturing before, who was it manufacturing for?
Amgen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd be hitting them up too. Look, we're retooling here. This is another opportunity. I mean, I see like three different routes to get at least in front of customers.
Mm-hmm.
Then how do you handle them from there? Do you, I'm not real familiar with the sales process, but we've been in this long enough that we understand how sales works.
Yeah.
Get the introduction, get in front of them, and then drip the heck out of them. Stay on it, stay on it, stay on it. Whether it's a phone call, rate them. Hey, this guy's my A. This guy's a B. This guy's a C. The C's just going to get emails from me. The A's, I'm on the phone. I'm establishing that because what you need to do is get them to trust you. They're not going to trust you because you don't know squadouche about manufacturing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to trust these people that are world renowned, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is, if that's your benefit, you need to be putting that out there in front of these people, going, look who you finally get an opportunity to work with in maybe whatever language like that. I mean, that's the way I see going about it is
And the dripping part that Chuck was talking about, it doesn't have to, we like things that are non-salesy. It could be like, doctor, whatever their names are, whatever the people's names are. It's even as simple as like, went on a picnic and while he was there, he dreamt up this new process of blah blah blah. Just keeping in touch, hoping things, that's about it. And they go, oh, that's interesting. But it keeps you on their mind
Mhm.
because if you
Mm-hmm.
don't keep in regular contact with something that's interesting, like Chuck brought up, credibility, trust,
Mm-hmm.
credibility and trust is built. One of the ways it's built simply just by keeping in contact. Because most everybody in the world, when they go through this process, will connect with them once. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, I'll connect again some other day. It's just a jagged, ragged little process that doesn't do. And then they take a course on trust, or they read a book. Oh, I better read this book. No, you just need to stay in simple contact, and that builds trust because most people are here today, gone to Maui, especially selling stuff. Oh, I'm a drug salesman. Yeah, yeah, I've seen a billion of them. I've talked to, that you're going to be gone next week anyway. I don't trust you. All those things. So if you just stay in simple contact. So let me touch base on one of the things that Chuck mentioned. And one of the things that one of the ways to speed process is not to go about things cold.
Yeah.
It's about getting referred to someone. Uh, let's go to those three renowned people where Chuck's going, man, work their contacts.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's easier said than done sometimes in real life, right? Because they're like, why give you my contacts? I don't need you then. Is there some element of that?
I would say
No,
in
would they
this
be
case,
free?
what's
yeah,
that?
I'd say in this case there's two things. One of the guys he's 75, so he's a little bit more disconnected from the market people. He knows a lot of the people he's trained are on the manufacturing side, not necessarily
Okay.
His network is less overlapped these days with
Well,
people who
you
are
know,
currently in drugs.
okay, but one of the things, and I don't know because I've never done what you're talking about, but one of the things that a lot of people miss are other people's connections, right? So you
Mhm.
get referred in. It's like one of the things that everybody misses is connecting with friends and family.
Mhm.
Even though your friends and family are never going to buy what you have, they know people. The people that you know, your friends and family, probably don't have anything to do with this, but if you put them in your little database and connected with them and go, hey, here's some of the things I'm working with, who knows? Oh, I've seen the craziest things come from meeting somebody at a wedding. I've seen, in our business, one of the things we do is credit card transaction processing. One that started from absolute nothing and went big and sold for billions met at a wedding. They had no connection, and thankfully they met and built this thing. They didn't have to meet at a wedding. What if somebody said, hey, this is what I do. If you know somebody, they go, oh, I know somebody who's a bank in Missouri
Mhm.
and a bank, you should talk to them. They didn't have to go to a wedding to do it, but everybody misses this. Uh, everybody misses this. And so I would say back to your 75-year-old man who has trained people, I'd go, let me contact them because they may
They know
know
people.
Yeah.
they know people.
They know
And
people,
and
right?
you go, oh, they're not in this business. Well, it doesn't matter if they're not in this business.
Yeah.
It's that's what everybody says, and then they stumble around making cold calls to where
Hmm.
they think they should go, and it's really hard. The best way is somebody goes, hey, you should talk to Jim. And so then when you call Jim, you go, hey, Jim, this is Ian. Claire suggested I give you a jingle, even if it's voicemail. He's going
Hmm.
to call you before he calls some other goofball who somehow made it past the gatekeeper, at least on a little
Right.
pink note or a
Mhm.
little email. Hey, so and so called. You go, I don't know that person. He's just one of everybody. One of 40 people who's called me. I've really
Right.
no interest.
And
But
don't puke on them on on the voicemail either. Leave some just leave some mystery to it. Go, hey, I was talking to Jim, and I'm with so and so, and he thought this is something that would be right up something you'd be interested in hearing about, or leave it. Don't call and go, hey, I was talking to Jim, and he thought that you might be interested in some manufacturing for drugs, and this is what we
yeah,
do.
right.
Sorry. Don't keep it
Right.
simple.
Whet
Everybody
their
wants to.
appetite. Tell them too much.
Yes.
You tell
Yes.
most people say too much, right?
Right.
And
Just.
especially up front,
Mhm.
and they lose interest immediately and click delete before they ever got to the meat of the matter. So yeah, you want to keep like Harvey McKay used to or still says, if you and he does a lot of speaking, right? If he says when you get to the end of the speech, if they don't want more, you said too much.
Right.
So the same thing in voicemail. If you say too much, if you don't want same thing, right?
So
So want them to leave wanting more. What?
so I guess what I would, if it were me in your shoes, like this were my task to figure out, I'd go, okay, so there's like three different people that are involved with this that have a huge vested interest. Trust me, a 75-year-old guy that's got a huge vested interest in something, if he's still playing the game, he's going to come up with something.
Mhm.
Trust me, he's just got to be asked because he's not figuring this out on his own. He's just hiring you and going, "Hey, figure this out." And so you're the guy that's running this deal, not them,
Mhm.
in essence, right? So
Yeah.
because I'm hiring you for your expertise, otherwise I'll do it myself.
Mhm.
Right. So you got to go in
Yeah.
with that mindset that, look, okay, I'm hired to figure this out. So it's okay for me to go to them and go, hey, look, here's what I need from each one of you. I would put something, go, look, I need at least 10 people for me to
Said
follow.
like this. This is exactly what Chuck's saying is this is your script.
This is
This is
it.
what you're
This is
saying.
exactly what I say. I need at least 10 people from each of you that I'm going to contact and start forming a network of potential buyers and potential people to refers, people that are going to refer us to buyers.
Mhm.
But I need, look, dude, look, man, you've never done this, right?
Mhm.
You're not hired because you know about manufacturing drugs and that's not why you're hired. You're hired because you're the guy that they believe knows how to go out and figure out how to get money. In essence, you're a salesperson, right?
Mhm.
So you got to throw on this sales cap and go, okay, here it is. And as if you've heard any of the stuff that John and I have talked about over the years, we hardly ever start out going right to the buyer right away because
Well, we did
that
at
that's
first because that's what they taught us to do. But then
that's
you
what we
find
did,
out
right?
it's horrible.
It's horrible. It sucks. It's defeating. It's all the things that you don't want in a freedom life, right?
Right, right.
But if I build these relationships with all these refers or people within the industry that can spread my name around, then it's mine to lose because all I have to do is be like a good stand-up person. I go in, they go, man, this it wouldn't be my case kid, but you, they might say this, right? Because this is what happens with 75-year-old guys behind closed doors. Like, this is a
Yeah.
good kid. He's a hardworking kid. He's smart. He's figuring out. Give him a listen, talk to him. And then you establish those relationships and you keep nudging those people to refer people to you. Going to the end user, because it's kind of like once you go to the end user, and there's very, very minimal room for error when you go
Mhm.
right to the end user. Because once you do something that's a little off without that trust and that relationship there, the deal's over.
Mhm.
But when you're referred in from someone, there's a little leeway, right? They'll be patient. They'll listen. They'll correct you when you are wrong, but not do it in a sense of like, yeah, this jerk called me. He's wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It'd be like, this kid's a good kid, but let me educate. Then you get a better education.
Mhm.
Then as you're talking to people and you're growing this thing. It's bringing on a life of its own. You're well-rounded. You're better
Mhm.
because you've had so many conversations regarding this. By the time you get on the phone with that end user, this is like a song that you sang a million times.
Mhm.
It's not new. I've been talking about
Yeah.
this with 40. Okay, we got three people, each one gives you 10. I've already talked to 30 plus another 30 people about this.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So in a way, it's almost perfect training ground that you're talking the concepts because you're talking the concept. And then when you get somebody on there that can fill out this check for you or this commitment letter for you,
Mhm.
you are so smooth and polished. You've heard it all. And you know how to get around, not get around like it's always an obstacle. You know
Mhm.
how to handle things properly because you've heard it all. You've
Right.
got an education. You know what I'm saying? And I believe, these are the shortcuts you cannot take shortcuts in here because it's not sustainable. You can't, let me, have you run a marathon? Have you?
Have
Okay.
you? I've never run a marathon,
Yeah.
Okay.
but it's this. Go ahead with your.
Yeah. Did you run at full speed the whole time? It's
Yeah.
impossible. No one can do that. It's impossible. You can't sprint a marathon, right?
Mhm.
You got to do this. It's methodical. It is easy. I swear to God, it's
It
crazy
is easy.
how easy it
How
is.
everybody does it is ungodly difficult. You've
Yes.
got 400 targets, and it's so hard to get in there, and maybe you want to give them a, I wouldn't, it's I just wouldn't. I go, all right, because back to the idea of if you want to build freedom in your life and work, uh, cold calling people, and of course when cold calling people who are buyers is a horrible way to live. It burns you out. It's not a good way to live. It's not at all fun. It's much more fun to have conversations with somebody who might refer you in, because then you go, well, here's what I'm trying to put together. Here's the benefit. Who do you know that might be, you know. It's a different conversation than, hey, we've got this blah, blah, blah. You launch into a sales pitch, and nobody wants to hear that. I mean, do you want to get called, your phone ring, you pick it up and get pitched something? It's not what any of us want to hear, and it's not what anybody wants to do. But if you go about building a network of people who go, oh man, I know of a guy, that's a
Mhm.
much different conversation. You can feel the different, experience in life. So it's a much, and then people start calling you, and
Mhm.
and if you stay in light, cool, creative contact with everybody, and they go, oh yeah, yeah, and that's a big key. it's a big key. And ask the, by the way, when you do what Chuck said to do, and you go to these people and you go, look, I need 10. Those now you've got 30, and those 30 are probably not going to be the ones either, but they've got 10. So now you've got 300 of those to get a hold of. And those people have 10. So now you've got whatever 300 times 10 is.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of you understand that where your business is going to come from isn't that 30, probably not even the 300. It's the other ones that you start
Right.
branching out from. And there's loads and loads and loads, and none of those are cold. They're cold, but it's not cold trying to sell something. It's cold trying to build a relationship.
Hmm.
Well, and these guys will, these guys 75. I mean, he's been doing this, I would imagine, quite a while, right? I mean, he's been doing this his whole life. He may not know the decision maker, but he knows the guy that's right adjacent to the decision maker. And he's going to turn you on to him. You're going to talk to him. He's going to turn you on to the decision maker. And then what happens is you create like this network, right?
Hmm.
And then your next deal, say you pull this deal off, right?
Hmm.
Then your next deal comes down the pike, and it may not even be in the same industry.
Hmm.
But when you're trying to find money, a lot of times those people that are coming up with the money aren't just in this arena. They might be in other arenas
Well,
too.
there's the other half of it,
They,
right? Because
there's the
this
other
is trying
half
to
of it,
get
right?
this is trying to get the drug people. But on
Hmm.
this on the other side of what you do, right, Ian, it's the
Yeah.
money part. This
Right.
would be,
Yeah.
can you imagine having a network of,
Money
and
guys.
keeping in
Yeah.
I would, and then it's like a game. It's like how fast can you make these connections? Because
Hmm.
there, if you just sit back and go, okay, everybody's already in place. Your network, all the stuff to make it all work is already there. You just have to make the connections. You just have
Hmm.
to, how fast can you make connections? And that's, like Chuck and I have dealt with 14,000 entrepreneurs over time. First you do it for yourself and you go, oh, okay, it doesn't work the way everybody says it works. It works a little bit differently. And you can hear that in the way we're telling you, right?
Hmm.
And so we found that it's so much better to build this massive referral network and just have all the business coming to you. It's just, and you can do that from wherever you want. It gives you a lot of flexibility. It gets you free. It gets you free as opposed to struggling. Anyway, a lot of people that we talk to, as we're talking to them, they're asking questions. And you go, well, how many referrers are you talking to? And they go, well, 3. And you go, man, uh, you need to add about 2 more zeros to that.
Hmm.
Literally, you need to have more like 3,000. How fast can you connect those dots? In a sensible sort of way. You have to have the right connections, so those refers connect you to the right sort of people. Uh, but sometimes they don't know. But they connect you to the 10, and you get a hold of them and go, oh, Jim, so suggested I give you a jingle. And it's an easy conversation. And so with from what I understand of with what you're doing, Ian, uh, from what I understand, you probably want to get your objective here is to get this up and going and then get out. Is that correct?
Yeah. Correct.
Okay. So it's going to take some work, right? By whomever's making these contacts, it's going to require work because right now it's not being very successful, right?
Hmm.
You want it to be better. All right.
Yep.
So let me ask you first before I launch into this, is what we're talking about so far, how does it feel to you? How do you see it? Do you think it can work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Or not why, but you feel like it can work. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, so now the game is how fast can I put those together? How
Hmm.
fast? It's interesting. I once saw, I don't know if it was a program or an article or something in the BBC, and it was about your unknown network. It's like in one of the things when Chuck and I are working together and we're going to hire somebody, one of the
Hmm.
things I'll ask them back when the Queen of England was living, I go, if you wanted to get a hold of the Queen of England, how would you do it?
Hmm.
And they go, "Oh, I don't know," and you go out. But those people, it's like, all right, how would I? Because who on God's green earth is going to be able to get a hold of the Queen of England, and how would you? And I remember the last time I asked somebody, I go, well, yeah, I'd go to social media. I go,
Hmm.
why? And really, you think the Queen's going to be hanging out on Facebook and you're going to get connected that way? No, but if you pick up the phone and make it, I'd go, all right, how can I? It's almost like a game. Like, how could I? How could I? How fast could I do this? And
Hmm.
so I would do, it's the same thing. Doesn't matter what you put together. This network is, but they showed, these invisible connections. So if you really wanted to get to the Queen of England, you've got, how fast can you get connected to some, senator who had or somebody in
Right.
the Navy who's connected to the British Navy, who connects to, it's
Mhm.
like pretty
Mhm.
soon you're having a freaking picnic out in the back lawn of
But
Buckingham Palace with the Queen.
it,
That's how it
that
goes.
that takes stick-to-itiveness. That takes a little savvy. What was that thing that was going around for like, we're all like three generations of being related to Kevin Bacon or whatever that was years ago. Remember that? But that's in essence how it works. If you set
Yeah.
your goals and you go, okay, I need to talk to the Queen, King Charles. If I need to get there, then I got to start working in that direction. And it's not going to be one big step. It's going to be probably about 1,000 steps to get up that chain.
Mhm.
And what you'll find is you get up that chain, your game needs to be on a little more.
Yeah, yeah.
You
The
know what I'm
Queen's not
saying?
going to have lunch with you unless you got game.
Unless you got
Or the
game going
King,
on.
whomever's
Right.
wearing the crown these days.
100%. But if you're paying attention along the way and you're learning, your game will naturally elevate.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
people recognize that within you. They go, and we say this all the time, don't we, John? I always go, yep, that guy gets it.
Yeah.
You want to work with people who get it. I don't want to work with people who don't get it because it's hard. It's too
Yeah.
hard. I want to work with people who get it. And once they know you get it, people will open their wallets to give you money to start your drug manufacturing facility. And quite frankly, on your next deal, you'll
Yeah.
keep that relationship alive and you'll drip market on these money guys. And then on your next deal, they're going to know you get it. So it's going to be easier to get money from them next time because they
Right.
know
And
you
now you've
get
got a
it.
story too. You've got, oh, we did this deal. And they'll think it came out of the blue, but you know that it didn't. It came from having building the network in the right sort of way,
Right.
having a massive, we call it a massive referral network. It's not three people, because this way too, when it's massive, you don't have, you're not relying on one of those three to get business. You're relying on, you know, one of the 3,000 to
Mhm.
to have it happen. It's so much easier to get one of 3,000 than it is to get one of three or one of 30 or one of 300. It's just so much, it makes it so much easier. And that's where part of the freedom comes from, right? It's just
Right.
easier, building it. And if you build it and you have a mindset like a game, like how many of these can I connect today and
Mhm.
tomorrow? Like when, one of the projects Chuck and I were doing, it's like, all right, how can you make 28 to 35 new connections a day? And we did that. And in a week, you've got, make easy math, 30, you've got 30, 60, 90, 120. So you've got 120. Well, you've got 150 in a week. You've got
Mhm.
300 in 2 weeks. You've got, let's say 450 because 1 week a month is, messed up because you got the flu or whatever the case is. But at the end of the year, and let's say you only work 10 months, now you've got 4,500 contacts when most people are going to have nothing. They're going to be dead in the water.
Mhm.
You've got 4,500 contacts, and now you're talking to you're schmoozing with the ones that are, really probable, like, man, this is good. The rest of
Mhm.
them are just getting an email from you. That's it. And it's a low salesy sort of thing. That's it. That's how it goes. And
Mhm.
then business comes in, your phone rings. They go, hey, our board just met and we have a couple questions or we want to do the deal or whatever the case is. And that's it.
And
That's
that's a
it.
lot more free
That's
than
it.
pounding the phone making cold
And
calls. I'll tell you
and
that.
and yeah, oh God. And yeah, those people that pound the phone and are making cold calls, they're talking to the same number of people. It's horrible. They want to either, die or retire as soon as possible. They can't stand it. They can't wait to, end of the day to have happy hour and just drink themselves into oblivion or whatever, ODN gummies or whatever they do beat the cat at the end of the day. Whatever these people do to blow off steam. But
Yeah.
this deal, and it's work, but you're building something. That's, the big difference with those people that cold call aren't really building much. They've
Right.
got a couple connections and if they stop, the deal stops. But if you build a massive referral network, this thing has long legs. If you
Mhm.
forget to, or whatever, something comes up and you don't send an email for that month, or you want to go off and on an African safari for a couple of weeks, this doesn't stop. They're still thinking about you.
Mhm.
Where the other way of going about business, it stops. They quickly forget about you. And
Right.
you didn't build the trust, you didn't build the credibility, you didn't do any of those things along the way. You just looked like a salesman.
So
Yeah.
so
Without relationships.
so like for instance in this deal, there's a couple of potential referral partners. So there's one
Great.
person in particular we've had that I've had a number of conversations with, and I know that they have access to, and they've talked about sending deals or potential biotech companies our way, but I don't
Stop
know.
right there. What was your response when they talked about that? Just out of curiosity. Like they talked to you about that and you just go, oh, okay, cool. What'd you say?
Um, it was, yeah, uh, you know,
Didn't
right.
drive home on that?
Well, so it was, great. Like what do you need from us to start making that happen? Um,
That's a broad
and
question.
what was
That
that? Yeah.
what do you need from us? What do you need from us? I go, I don't know. I go,
Yeah.
hey, well, and I'm not picking apart everything. I'm just trying
Yeah.
to just tell you what I would do because after 30 years of doing this, you kind of learn some stuff, right?
Yeah.
Is I'd go, if they go, well, we have some people, I go, really like whom?
Hmm.
Whom? Who do you want to refer to me? And they
Hmm.
go, well, I know the guy that owns this. And I go, well, great. Then I want to take control. Can we do this? Why don't you send him an email or just drop him a call? Let him know that I'm going to be reaching out. Would that work for you? Because if you leave it to them
Yeah.
to figure out how to make all this happen, if everybody thought like we did right here, it would be a whole different place,
Yeah.
right? It's not that way. So I think you got to take control. If somebody says they're giving me a referral, which I had recently with a friend of mine, says, "Hey, I got a referral guy that wants to wants what you offer," and I go, "Oh, what kind of business is it?" I went right. I'm drilling in. I want
Hmm.
that. I want that now,
Yeah.
because if you wait and they get the impression that it's not that important, they're going to forget about it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I know a guy really well in the oil business, and a lot of his business are is referrals. And one of the things that he says is he called them joint ventures, and he goes, joint ventures don't work. You have to work them.
Mhm.
So exactly what Chuck just said is how you work a joint venture. You have to work it. Joint ventures don't work. They absolutely do not work. You have to, because most people think that they do. They go, "Oh, I signed the deal with this." Like imagine if you got a deal with this company. Almost all joint ventures stop right there. They never go any further. You never get any business, and you never understand why. Is because they don't know what to do. Chuck's exactly right.
Hmm.
Having conversations with thousands and thousands of potential referrers, joint venture partners, you realize, yeah, you really need to take the lead. You need to ask things like what Chuck did. Well, and they go, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. I go, well, who comes to mind?
Hmm.
Anybody, who comes to mind? It's not like does anybody, because that's a closed-ended question, right? That's yes or no. You ask an open-ended question like who, who comes to mind?
Mhm.
Who do you know that da 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 da?
Mhm.
And so it's opens their mind rather than closes their mind, and because they're all going to go, I don't know of anybody right now, because this is how brains work,
That's what
right?
they're
It's just
wired.
like that's too much work right now. So you have to you want to pursue the question, or you want to pursue opening their mind to what you can get right now,
Right.
because tomorrow doesn't necessarily exist. And yeah, maybe you'll get a referral from them someday, but you want to start working, you want to ask them, you want to first get they're open to doing this with you. And then you want to go, well, who comes to mind? How do we start? What's the first thing we can do? Make it easy on them too. Make it super easy on them. You need to take on the work, not
Not them.
assume they're going to do it because they will
Right.
not.
Right.
That's not their job, dude. It's
Right.
yours.
Right.
It's
Right.
your
And
job.
nobody on this side of it understands that. They all think
Right.
that, oh, they're going to go to work for you and do all these. They don't.
Right.
Almost never do they do that.
No.
Right. So for like in this deal, there's a number of service providers that we've talked to over time who have access to these biotech companies, and during conversation, just as a result of interacting with them, they're like, we see companies all the time that would be great fits for you guys. Um, but
Really?
then it kind of stops at that. How would you go about
Like
following
who?
up with them and pushing them towards,
Yeah,
is
like
exactly
who?
that. Just like,
Like
hey,
who?
who do you know right now? Just doing
Well,
that.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
say who do you know right now. I would
Yeah.
say, like Chuck said, who?
Oh, really? Who? Like who? Oh, you're kidding. Oh, okay. Well, you know what I can do is, why don't I do this? Why don't I reach out to them and let them know that you were thinking about them and
Hmm.
you were concerned and you saw a need that they had that you thought I could fulfill. I mean, this is a language you got to use in that kind of
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Right? It's got to
Right.
be kind of, it's kind of because it has to be that way.
But you see, Chuck's language. Let's talk about language real quick.
Hmm.
Chuck's using, like he said, oh, you have to use some of this language, right? But you can still see that he's being he's not being aggressive. He's being aggressive in a casual, sort of low key way, right? And
Right.
he's using some words that are um, like a corporate but a lot of it's not. It's soft, but it's assertive, right?
Hmm.
And that's one of the things that yeah, that's a big deal. Soft and assertive. It's but yeah, you're using words that get you where you want to go. Hey, who do you know? Oh, really? Who? Okay, well, why don't we do this? So it's not just who, and then once you find out who, you go, oh, well, why don't we do this?
Mhm.
So you find broad, I'm open to it. Who do
Hmm.
you know? And then and then the next step. And because if you imagine if you don't do those, one if you just go, oh, hey, it's good, let's do this, and you don't do anything,
Right.
now you've got to now you've got to track him down again.
Right.
And it's like, oh God, now I've got to chase this guy. I should have,
Hmm.
you can should have
Well,
labor yourself, or you can go, oh, who? And then what's the next? Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. You know what? Why don't we do this?
Hmm.
That kind of turn.
and
Right.
doesn't that feel a lot more efficient?
Hmm.
Like, cause it's all
Well,
about efficiencies, right? Like if I didn't ask the guy, now I got to track him down. He's on
Yeah.
vacation. He's busy. It's like, man, it's almost like we're our own worst enemy sometimes, and it, I always say it's the right mindset, right? It's like I want to win,
Hmm.
and it's not a win or lose thing necessarily, but I want to accomplish. I want to be good at this. I want to bring value to the people that I'm working with or for, so I have to do these things because that's the only way I can bring this to them is I have to be on my game. They elected me to do that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and there we'll tie that back to freedom, right? It's like, okay, feeling free, it feels, does it if you're bringing value and feeling like you're doing the right steps along the way, it's a good feel. You feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
You feel good about, and I'll throw that into that's one of the freedom feelings, right? And to have a free sort of existence, that's what you need to do. You really do need to work on your game. When you're good at your game, it's much easier to be free. And
Yes.
it's and the feeling of freedom, right? Because freedom isn't just necessarily, I made a bunch of money and I retired. Well, okay, now what are you going to do?
Right.
What? So that's not necessarily, it's like living, you can start right now. And whatever you do, it's like, all right, how can I do this to feel the most free?
Mhm.
It's a lot of work sometimes living free. But you get to live that way rather than having to do the things that most other people do that they really don't like. So part of the game of creating freedom is is just doing this. It's like, okay, it's just being good at your game and providing the right thing, right? You want to be able to, part of the good feeling in your heart is consulting in the right sort of way,
Right.
leading people in the right sort of way, what's right for them, even if they don't even understand it, you know, and a lot of them won't. So when you do this in the right way, you're also a good model. Maybe they'll go, wow, that was really easy. It probably will never occur to them to do the same thing themselves, but they'll appreciate that you did it, and you did it in a way that made them feel good about it.
Hmm.
It's like being prepared, preparedness meaning opportunity equals success. I know we've said that a few times, kind of fun around here, but um, it's like watching somebody who's really good at playing golf. It looks so effortless.
Hmm.
And then you watch other people go out and struggle. See, me, that struggle's not really that kind of struggle. It doesn't feel good to me. the kind of struggle that, maybe I got to deal with wind on my tee shot, or, I got a fast green or something. That's part of the game. That's part of it. But the struggle, yeah, it doesn't have to be that. That's that whole freedom thing in life that you can go,
Mhm.
it's work. And I think everybody should work, right? We all should have a goal and work. And that's part of just being a human being. But work smart, not hard. I mean, these things have been around for,
Yeah.
that saying's been around for, I don't know, since people could start talking. But
Well,
yet,
and the
we
smart
work
thing
hard.
though that you're talking about, most people don't tell you how to be smart.
Well, there
They
it is.
leave it up to you, and you go, I don't know what the hell to do, you know. But the things that we're talking about are things that it's firsthand experience because we were taught, we grew up hearing, oh, you got to, work smart, not hard. Well, okay, but I don't necessarily. Well, and if you do both, that's how you get to, you build that network faster. You want to get to the money that you want to make, or the sale, or whatever it is you're doing. But
Yeah.
it's most people don't work very hard, and they certainly, and they don't understand necessarily. They're smart people, but it's like a lot of very smart people will it's like polish the stuff that they've been taught that's not a very smart process.
Mhm.
They don't know it's not smart because they've never, who's going to teach freedom? Who, how many people, nobody, unless you're free and really want to help somebody get free, you're not going to really show them in ins and outs and spend any time with them. You're just going to, try to sell them on something, or when you go to school and to be an entrepreneur, I always think that's a funny one. Oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, so therefore I'm going to take this college courses. Who at college is going to teach you how to be free? These it doesn't, you don't see it, and you see people that come out. We see this, with the 14,000 people that we've worked with and the hundreds of employees that we've had, and they come out of school, and that's a when they what's it called when you graduate, the process where you go through and you get your diploma and you
Oh,
put
yeah. Commencement, right?
commencement.
Yeah.
Commencement means to start, not to stop.
Right.
But it seems like the commencement, they don't understand the word, what it means. And it means to, okay, now you've got 4 years of whatever you got. All right, now let's go out and it's not polishing that stuff, it's learning new stuff, like we're talking about here today. And so, but if you polish what they showed you, they didn't teach you how to be free. They taught you just how to, do whatever they taught you how to do. But when you get out and you start experiencing, that's when we've got to adapt. And you go, okay, well, adapt to what? What am I trying to create? And this is what one of the things that a lot of people don't understand too. If you want to create freedom, then every move that I make, every adaptation that I make has to be, okay, I need to be working toward freedom. So that helps to direct when I need to find a workaround that I'm gonna go the direction that, you know, to freedom. Like if I had a blueprint and I came across something on a house that I'm building from this blueprint, I
Mhm.
go, okay, this doesn't really work the way that it's drawn. Okay, I need to look at the blueprint and go, okay, how do we want it to look when it's done? Okay, well then I'm going to go this way and not that way.
Right.
So anyway, I'm kind of getting far flung there away from your point, but so does that, and I know you're not on the money raising side necessarily. You have to figure out how to sell. You and your team have to figure out how to sell this stuff to get those letters of intent so you can get the funding
Right.
to, because that's how you make your money, right? You get the funding and then you're basically out, right? Then you're out. But,
Mhm.
and so imagine though, if you go, this network of, I don't know if you're going to do a project like this again. If you do, then like Chuck was saying, you want to keep this network and build it for something else. If you
Mhm.
don't, maybe go, here's something that I'll hand to you when this is all done. I've got a massive referral network. If you just put somebody in here and do what I did,
Mhm.
you're going to have all the customers that you're ever going to want.
Mhm.
See,
So
now I kind of want to be in the drug business because I see a
Yeah.
way.
Totally. So,
I'm easily sold.
so
But I feel confident that way. I think
yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like we get all kinds of questions,
yeah.
and like I've never done what you do, or like the guy that wants to sell jets. I've never sold a jet before, like a private jet. But I go, man, I could do that.
Mhm.
And I could build this thing pretty quickly. I feel confident
Mhm.
because just the experience, and I wouldn't go about it like everybody else. I wouldn't go, well, I need to go to a list company and buy a list of, people who have at least $10 million or whatever.
Right.
I just wouldn't do that.
Mhm.
Somebody, you can imagine people right now go, hey, here's what I'm doing. Who do you know? In a nice sort of way,
Mhm.
and just connect with them, and some little jokes about flight attendants,
Right.
the horrible things when you have to fly commercial. You
Right.
know, I don't know what it would be, but you can imagine being successful selling private jets, or building getting funding for a factory in Canada, or whatever the
Mhm.
case is.
Yeah.
It almost seems like a fun challenge.
Well, it all works because you're dealing with people. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what
Right. This is
doesn't
yeah.
matter what you're selling. It's just
Yeah.
this whole system, this whole freedom-based idea of living and setting up your lifestyle
Mhm.
is it works. I mean, it works.
Yeah.
It just
But
doesn't matter what
I
you,
would recommend testing it. And we're kind of coming to the end, I think, of this
yeah.
conversation. But test it, test it, test it. Test it. Because what you're going to find is you're gonna come across other things, and then you go, okay, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
Well, come back and ask another question.
Right.
We want to help you unlock it, right? Because
Mhm.
that's every step along the way. It's like scientists call it descending intelligence, right?
Mhm.
And every time one of these unlocks, you can't unsee it. You go,
Right.
got it, and now you're there. And then you come across something else. You go, okay, how do I adapt this to unlock it and have more freedom? And then when
Mhm.
you do, now you can't imagine yourself doing it the other way.
Mhm.
And then and higher and higher and higher, and you just, like, you hear us talk about the words we choose, and probably the facial expressions and the sound of just total disdain for the idea of going out and actually talking to somebody who would be a buyer of a product. No
Yeah.
interest in cold calling them. I want them to call me.
Mhm.
Like, I want them to call me and want what I have. So if that's
Mhm.
what I want, then how do I what connections do I need to make, and how do I need to make them, and what do I need to say, and how do I follow up? Because that's what I want. I want
Mhm.
them calling me wanting what I have to sell.
Right.
Right.
And so I'm going to build it that way. And that's what we've been talking about. Test
Very
it,
helpful.
test it,
Okay.
come test it and tell us what you find.
Uh-huh.
And then and go, oh yeah, but I'm not running into this, and we'll cover that next.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.